Imagine this, a 70-pound dog just loose in the back of your SUV. In a 30-mile-per-hour crash, that dog instantly becomes a 1-ton projectile. It's a terrifying thought, right? And here's the reality. Most car barriers sold for big dogs completely fail that math. So today, we're not just taking marketing claims at face value. We're looking at the actual evidence.
I've spent the last 6 weeks rigorously testing the 5 best car barriers for large dogs and SUVs to find out what actually works in the real world. You see, here's the trap you fall into. Most barriers are only built to stop a dog that isn't really trying to get through. In fact, one best-selling product on this list totally failed my escape test in under a minute. Just an 80-pound lab leaning on it, and boom, it gave way. But stick with me until the end, because our number 1 barrier passes a brutal crash test that the other 4 didn't even attempt. As you'll see, the gap between number 5 and number 1 is literally the gap between a mere suggestion and actual physical protection.
Now, before we dive into the rankings, let's lay out our standard. Vague reviews are completely worthless, so every barrier here gets scored the exact same way using our 5-pillar rubric. We're looking at fit and comfort, durability, safety and practical risk, ease of use, and value for money. Each one gets a score out of 10 and a final letter grade. And I have one strict rule that I absolutely do not bend. If a barrier cannot hold back a panicked large dog, it automatically fails. Period. I don't care how nice the box looks. All right, coming in at number 5 is the PetSafe Solvit Deluxe Telescoping Barrier. This one will run you right around $50. It's your classic pressure mount setup, a steel tube that you extend from the floor to the ceiling, twist, and lock into place. Sounds simple, right? Well, assembly actually took me 20 minutes, and honestly, there's some major practical frustrations here. The clamp wing nuts, they loosen up after just a few drives, and those little rubber end caps easily fall off and get lost. The kicker is that PetSafe doesn't even sell replacements, so you're eventually just left with bare metal digging straight into your SUV's headliner.
So this unit earns a failing D grade on the scorecard, and here's exactly why. In the test that actually matters, my lab put just one paw on the top rail, the entire unit tilted off axis, and he was sitting right there in the front seat in under a minute. It didn't fail from brute force. It failed because friction is simply not a lock. Plus, there is zero crash documentation for this. So a barrier that dislodges under just a bit of dog pressure, that basically becomes a dangerous metal spear flying around your cabin during a panic stop. No thanks. Moving right along to number 4, we have the Bushwhacker Deluxe. It measures 50 inches wide and costs about $100. Now this one actually fixes almost all of those frustrations we just saw with the pressure mount. It uses a tear-resistant screen stretched over a lightweight metal tube frame, and it just straps right to your headrest posts and cargo anchors. Installation was a breeze. It took me exactly 7 minutes with absolutely zero tools. And I will say, its mesh design does a really great job covering full-size SUV cargo openings. Definitely better than most other universal options out there.
Earning a C grade overall on the scorecard. It really does function perfectly as a divider if you have a completely calm dog. But we found a pretty big hidden flaw. The screen is UV resistant, sure, but it is not claw resistant. After just 10 minutes of deliberate scratching, there was visible fraying right at the main stress point. So, if your dog is the type to test the limits by clawing or pushing, this lack of claw resistance basically turns the Bushwhacker into a disposable, consumable product rather than a lasting safety barrier. Okay, now we're leaving fabric behind entirely. Coming in at rank number 3 is the WeatherTech Pet Barrier, which runs anywhere between $140 and $170. This model brilliantly illustrates the real strength of custom engineering. WeatherTech actually laser measures your specific vehicle model and builds a solid steel frame to perfectly match it. It mounts directly through your factory anchor points, so it completely bypasses that unreliable pressure friction we talked about earlier. I took this through 40 miles of gravel testing, and it felt genuinely rigid. It literally never rattled once.
It earns a very solid B grade on our scorecard, but that precise fit does come with a major limitation. First, if your specific vehicle model isn't covered by them, well, this product just doesn't exist for you. But more importantly, there is absolutely zero crash test documentation here. That rigid steel will absolutely stop your dog in a crash, yes, but basic physics dictates that the dog still absorbs the full force of that impact. The barrier stays put, but your pet is taking the entire hit.
So here is absolutely the crucial point to understand. The gap between our rank 3 barrier and the top 2 is massive. It's the difference between having vehicle-specific anchors and having independent crash testing. A secure fit is great. It keeps the barrier from rattling or falling down while you're just driving around town. But true life-saving physics in a worst-case crash scenario, that requires serious engineered testing. And that brings us to the top 2 barriers that are actually built to address real-world impact dynamics. Unveiling our second-place winner, it's the Travall Dog Guard, which is priced between $190 and $230. Just like WeatherTech, Travall designs each guard for one specific vehicle model, mounting securely right into the factory points behind your rear seats. It's a fantastic, zero-rattle, bolt-in steel mesh design. And what's really excellent about this one is that it sits right behind the headrests. This allows your dog to still see you while remaining completely secure, which, trust me, really helps calm most dogs down on that very first drive.
Travall easily secures an A grade on the scorecard. The big differentiator here, the thing that completely justifies its higher price tag, is that Travall independently crash tests its guards for cargo retention, and they actually publish those results for you to see. Now look, no barrier on Earth can guarantee your dog walks away from a severe wreck without an injury, but this testing does guarantee that the barrier itself is not going to break apart and become a secondary missile inside your car. Pound for pound, it is the best true barrier you can bolt into your SUV.
All right, let's move on to our overall winner, and you'll see how this builds up to the ultimate level of protection. Taking rank number 1 is the MIM Safe VarioBarrier. Made by a Swedish company, this is literally the only universal cargo barrier I could find and verify with published ECE R17 crash testing. If you don't know, that is the exact same strict framework used to certify cargo protection in passenger cars globally. And MIM Safe passed it using a simulated large dog load. Every other product we looked at either never even tested for this, or they're hiding the paperwork.
This earns a very rare A+ on our scorecard. Now, I'll be honest with you about the trade-offs. It is definitely heavier than everything else. That first installation is going to take you about 30 minutes. And yeah, that price tag between $350 and $480, that definitely stings. But you have to remember, you are paying for real engineered crash absorption. It's specifically built to absorb impact energy instead of just bending or shattering right into your dog. Think about it. A single emergency vet bill from a failed barrier starts at around the cost of this unit anyway. One incident, and it pays for itself entirely.
So, here is my decisive final verdict for you. If you want ultimate safety and real crash test certification, choose the MIM Safe VarioBarrier. If that's a bit outside your budget, go ahead and buy the Travall Guard for your exact vehicle model. It gives you the best conventional fit out there. Now, if your budget is strictly under $150 and you know you have a very calm dog, the Bushwhacker definitely earns its spot. But listen to me carefully. Absolutely avoid all pressure-mounted options, including that PetSafe model, for any dog over 40 pounds. At that size, they are just visual deterrents, not actual safety equipment.
Now you know the real difference between a flimsy suggestion and actual proven protection for your pet. So, I want you to ask yourself right now, is your current setup actually protecting your dog, or is it just providing you with the illusion of safety? If this deep dive just saved you from making a mistake and buying the wrong barrier, please hit subscribe. Every single week, I put another piece of pet gear through this exact 5-pillar test to ensure you are always buying solid, evidence-based gear. Remember, always score the gear before you spend.